So if you're like me, you're probably thinking that you could put your graduate degree to some good use and maybe try adjunct teaching. I mean, it's a great way to get some fulfillment by helping to give back and teaching people what you know. You can also give you some extra cash in terms of paying down those student loans. I figured this would be the year. But then 2020 actually happened and all plans went to hell. However, I'm actually wondering if online teaching is still the route to go, but just not through a traditional brick and mortar. Stay with me on this. In this video, I want to talk about many of the cons that I've already been aware of in terms of adjunct teaching. I want to talk about how they've actually gotten worse this year. I want to talk about how online teaching, especially through non-traditional routes, might actually be a much easier and more practical transition for us aspiring teachers out there, and have more potential for higher reward. If you're new here, hi, I'm Liz, and on this channel, I'm all about discovering the practical paths to impact, because if something is practical, anyone can do it. So you might be wondering, why am I so passionate about this? Well, I've spent the majority of my career working in human resources and higher education, and let me tell you, I've never heard an adjunct not complain about their pay. Also, I've spent a great deal of time doing focused research on the institution as a whole, and unfortunately, it's nothing but bad news, and it keeps getting worse. Higher education as a whole is becoming increasingly more corporate, more commodified, increasingly less accessible, and honestly, I'm preaching to the choir here. Think about your own experience with college. Think about everything that you've already heard in the news. So let's just say I'm confidently changing direction, and here's why. Reason number one, so it's actually pretty difficult to get an adjunct teaching job. This is definitely one of those roles where it's more likely than not all about who you know. And they really sometimes don't care about you applying to a job and having the perfect resume, perfect cover letter, and amazing portfolio. And then if you do still try to apply, you also have to make sure you take a deep dive into the qualification sections, because you might find out, and 9 times out of 10, I'm sure you'll find out, that you need teaching experience to get these positions. And so we get back to that age-old question of, how does one actually need experience to get experience? And now you'll find that there's even less courses for newbie adjuncts to even try to get. Most of these will end up going to full-time faculty who always have preference. And of course, they're going to want to grab that extra income. I mean, who doesn't need extra income right now? If you decide to go the non-traditional route, then it's pretty much open access, and you can use whichever tools work best for you. Things like YouTube, Skillshare, blogging, podcasts, Teachable, you name it, the internet got it. And you might be wondering, well, if that's the case, it seems like it's really easy for crappy teachers to get in and just start spewing their nonsense all over everyone. That's true, but if you really think about it, think about your own personal experience. How many times did you have a crappy teacher in college that you had to still pay full price for that class, and no one cared when you put on the evaluation how crappy that teacher was, and that teacher was still teaching that class the very next semester? So if you're a crappy teacher and you go the non-traditional route, well, if you have a problem with communicating your message, getting it across, well, students and people in general just aren't going to watch you. They aren't going to engage with your content. And if you're spewing nonsense, people will inevitably fact check you. It's just the nature of the beast. Another advantage of going the non-traditional route is that you don't have to worry about getting a specific course section that fits into your schedule. You can literally upload and create content on your time whenever you'd like, and you can really easily fit it around a day job. You can fit it around a social life. It's actually much easier. You don't have to worry about fitting into a particular cookie cutter teaching box that a particular institution just absolutely adores. Your teaching style is your own, and you have complete control over it. And that's honestly the best thing. There are so many different types of learners out there. Why are we trying to put all teachers in the same cookie cutter box and make them teach in the same cookie cutter way? It doesn't make any sense. My second reason for wanting to go an alternative route is that higher education has been on a downward spiral for quite some time. There has been a gradual decline in the number of students enrolling into college because there's just fewer of them, and also because more students are looking to get more real-world experience, figure out who they actually are as people before they decide to spend thousands of dollars on an institution to learn theories and concepts from hopefully not crappy teachers. Also, what this pandemic is showing is that many of these colleges have been operating on some razor thin margins. To be perfectly honest, when all this is over, whenever all of this is over, a lot of these colleges and universities might not make it out. There is so much more awareness about the problem with all this crippling student loan debt that so many people are dealing with right now. It's a major issue. It's preventing people from living their lives, saving from retirement, starting families, buying homes, you name it. It's a major issue, and I suspect that there will be much more regulation on that in the coming years. Also, when you think about this fall, a lot of students are kind of pissed that they're going to have to spend full price in tuition to have fully online programs. They're just not going. They're taking gap years. So that's just going to make the situation even worse. But you know what's not on downward spiral? Online learning. And actually, online learning is huge right now, and it's projected to get even bigger over the next few years. And it's no wonder students really enjoy the flexibility of learning on their own time. Not all students can afford to just be full-time students and not work. They enjoy being able to take advantage of free and low-cost options to be able to get the same message at a more affordable price. They're also really enjoying the choice of being able to choose an engaging instructor over a terrible one, the choice of being able to pick which subject matter they want to explore or what works for whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish in their life. Now, if you're someone who doesn't teach the sexy things like business or social media marketing, you might be wondering, well, where does that leave someone like me? But imagine with me, if you will. Imagine a scenario where people are still interested, but maybe at different times of their life. Or maybe they're interested in what you have to teach them, not because they're being forced to take it and master it for one particular moment in time and then completely forget everything that you've taught them by the next semester. It happens. No one is immune. But they're actually choosing to take your course because they are thoroughly vested in what's being taught to them at that moment. No matter if it's business or something in the humanities, it really doesn't matter. People want to explore these things. They want knowledge. They find all of these things interesting. The sciences, liberal arts. It's just a matter of the difference between forcing it down their throat at one particular time in their life and waiting for them to come to you naturally when they're really invested in the material and can get the most benefit from it. Think about it on the personal level. How many times have you been drawn to completely random subject matter that you just felt like learning in that particular space? It does actually happen. And reason number 3, adjunct instructors are unfortunately basically cheap labor. Imagine, if you will, on average, you'll say adjunct course, one course is about $3,000. They pay about $3,000 for an adjunct instructor to teach a 3-credit course on average. And this will differ depending on, where you are geographically, how big your college or university is, and if you have a PhD or not. Now, divide that over one semester, about 4 months. We're thinking about $750 per month to teach that course. Now, imagine the last course that you took for college, undergrad, or graduate, and think about all the work you had to put into that course, whether it be in person or online. Now, imagine if in addition to that, you had to create the syllabus, you had to prep the lessons, you had to grade all of the papers of maybe 30 plus students, most likely. You had to set aside office hours. You also had to answer any questions that any of your students might have in regards to your course outside of those office hours, usually through email or phone. And think to yourself, is it still worth it? Is that $750 a month still worth all of that effort? I don't think so. Imagine, if you will, needing to do this in addition to a full-time job, or trying to make this a full-time job, taking on multiple different adjunct courses, and then still not being offered benefits at the end of the day, still not having health insurance. I mean, there's a reason why adjunct instructors are still in poverty. It's a huge issue. Now, you could do all that, or you could go the non-traditional route. Post a 15-minute video to YouTube, or maybe an hour and a half lesson on Skillshare. Imagine getting paid for that watch time throughout the lifetime of that video. So you don't necessarily have to be actively teaching that course to keep receiving benefits from it. You could potentially make more money from a single upload of a lesson than you could in teaching that same course for an entire semester at a college or university. Sure, you could go the traditional route and give an institution about 4 months of your life just for them to potentially not renew you for the next semester or at any reason for any time whatsoever. Or you could put in 4 months of work into creating a channel or creating lessons on Skillshare or some other platform that you want to use. The choice is yours, but honestly, it kind of seems like a no-brainer for me. For more online content strategy and tips on how to put your knowledge to work for you, be sure to follow me on Instagram at A Tribe Called Liz. And if you learned something cool today, be sure to hit that like button, share this video with your friend who's a teacher, subscribe, and let me know in the comments below if you think the future of teaching is online. Until next time, see you later.